spiritually, you got to understand a little more about the reincarnation factor. First of all, reincarnation is not a divine thing. The problem here is, and I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Most of the information we get on the reincarnation that was preserved for us. They talk about it in old societies, but a lot of the information we get is coming from the East Indian and the Buddhic on into the Vedic. Unfortunately, most of the stuff that is preserved and most people get is from the latter part of the society when you talk about the whole yogi and the Buddha aspect. And that is the degenerated side of it, where they think, where after so many thousands, this is what happened. There's an ancient knowledge and an ancient gnosis, which is the archetype or the blueprint of the knowledge, which is the most pure stuff. After so many thousands of years, that deteriorates and it becomes more philosophy and goes on into more superstition, you see, and more ignorant. Well, we've got to remember now, these cultures are very old. And each one of them had a period where it went from ancient scientific mystery system and the basic and the whole terrain and stratosphere of ancient knowledge on into religion and superstition, and it starts to deteriorate. Most of the stuff that we got, even in the yogi thing, that explains the reincarnation aspect is the latter part. Now, the Vedic, when you take it on back, reincarnation is an incarceration. It's not a divine thing. It's an incarceration. I'll explain how in a few seconds. It's an incarceration. But, just like any deterioration of the physical plane that we are seeing, even with the weather, reincarnation now has become a chain that is being broken by the most ignorant people. And what I mean by that is this. What makes the soul reincarnate? These are very good questions. Let's really get deep into the context of this. What makes the soul reincarnate is the astral light or the astral plane. The astral plane, although we have these planes, you got the physical plane on into different dimensions. Although those dimensions we see are higher than the physical planes, they are still same forms of the matrix or illusionary planes. And it took me a couple of years to understand, because there's a lot of confusion, because we're mixing in ancient knowledge with knowledge of 2,000 or 3,000 years ago, and we're thinking the knowledge of 2,000 or 3,000 years ago is ancient knowledge, and it's newer knowledge compared to older stuff. Now, try to understand this. You have an astral plane, which they call the astral light. Don't go to the light, or go to the light when you die. When you go to that light, it snatches you back down in here, and you reincarnate. Reincarnation is very bad for the simple fact that if you got an advanced knowledge, and you go to that light, when you reincarnate back into that body, the brain demolishes it, and you end up slave one with nothing. Every now and then there's some things that can break through, but for most people, you can be bouncing around for thousands of years and stuff. Now, that astral light was an incarceration based on the ancient Vedic text, and later on it became a justification when the Buddhists start talking, don't step on a roach, don't step on a ant. That's because when you hear them saying that, like the Dalai Lama and all those, that's a later thing. That's the Buddhism and those things is their version of fundamentalism, just like Christianity is the version of fundamentalism opposed to the ancient Egyptian mystery system, ancient Greek gnosis or Sumerian gnosis or whatever that stuff, which was all black and little on. But, so, the reincarnation thing, in so many words, is an incarceration. Now, another thing happened in this dispensation of time. In this dispensation of time, when a lot of people are dying now, they have found out that that particular realm, that light that used to snatch them back down here, is very weak, and it does not snatch the memory away, and they are able to not reincarnate now. And a lot of them are going to the underworld plane. So you got different planes. The Egyptian tells you to go to the underworld. That's where Osiris is. The Osirian realm is different than the astral realm. You got two realms. There is the astral plane matrix. And all you see, then you have the underworld realm, which is where the most ancient souls go if you have enough knowledge to get there. Before you had to have enough knowledge to get to that particular land of Osiris, the kingdom of Osiris. Now what is happening here is the astral plane, which is the world that is leaving. Just like you got the physical world here that we say is leaving, the astral world is also comprised of that same matrix. And it is leaving, so it's very weak. So a lot of the ones that used to reincarnate is not reincarnating anymore.
Right, so the next question coming to us is, what happens when you die? In the context of you die, and when we say, like on earth, when you see the eyes, that man's gone. That man who's gone, what does he see, hear, experience? Is there pain? What's the next thing? What's the first thing on his agenda as he's going? So what happens when he dies?
It all depends on where your consciousness is, or what type of death you have. There could be a painful death, and then there could be a death where, for instance, somebody can get knocked outside of their body so fast until they don't know they're dead, and will go home and knock on the door and nobody answers. About like what happened in the movie Ghost. You remember what's your boy in there? Patrick Swayze. And he didn't know he was dead at first, because he got snatched out of his body so quick. And when he got home and all, he didn't realize why nobody wasn't recognizing him. And part of the movie, which was an excellent movie, you see, it came out in 1990, part of the movie was based on him trying to get a foothold on what happened when he died. Most people, when they first die, they'll go see this light. It's called the astral light. The astral light is the astral plane. It is set up to retrieve the soul, to get it trapped back in a cycle of reincarnation. So when you go towards the light, it is the astral light, which is the astral plane, which is ruled by a group of entities called the demiurge, or the Devashanic plane is what it's called. It's ruled by the Deva spirits, the Orishas, or the Olympian spirits.
So now, are the Orishas, should we be walking, which this goes into the third question, which is, and we can merge these two together, as, the walking towards the light, and should this, like in the 80s, from when I was a child, you always hear people with these death experiences. I seen my family there. I seen uncles and grandfathers saying, come towards the light.
Right.
So that that we can merge both of these questions together.
Okay, right.
Are they helping us?
No, those are toes this trap. Let me give you a pyramid structure of how this thing goes.
Okay.
You got two realms. You have the Devashanic plane, which basically snatched the souls up to get them ready for a cycle of reincarnation. Now that reincarnation can be 50 years, 100 years. The older the soul, the longer it takes to reincarnate. It's being ruled by a group of entities called the demiurge, the Olympian deities, the Orishas, the Devas, the shining ones, and their light is a prism. It's the astral light, and in so many words, they get you into this cycle of reincarnation, or what I would like to say, reincarceration. Doing time on planet Earth, reincarceration.
I see.
You see what I'm saying? This is the lowest plane. No one really needs to really be here or wants to be here that's got good sense, other than when you take on a human body. You are duped into being here, because the first thing happens, which is so bad about it, is if you came back as an adult, you would understand the game. Hey, wait a minute. I'm doing this shit over and over and over again. That's why they snatch you back into a small brain of a baby, which means that small brain is almost like a piece of oblivion. It's so dumb until it has to regain memory. And although it's regaining memory, and it has certain elements of the previous life, as it gets more and more morphed into the life that it is now incarnated in, that life basically diminishes or extinguishes the life prior to it. So the brain is developed to, number one, tap into, or number one, coincide with the life that it is reincarnated into, and give data and to basically notice the world that is encased in. But it's also developed to somehow suppress the previous life, which is only in the memory of the soul, which the connection of that soul is the pineal gland, the brain up under the brain.
Okay.
So in so many words, all this is a cosmic trick by a group of entities that only exist through your ignorance of your soul and your knowledge of the universe that gives them their energy. So in so many words, they exist through you. There's a story before H.P. Lovecraft. There was another guy by the name of Lord Doomsley that was having these dreams. For him, it was Bulwer Lytton was having these dreams. 1800, Lord Doomsley was the early 1900s, and he wrote a book called The Gods of Pegana. And he talked about how this great mother went to sleep, and these children in this particular case is these particular false beings. They're prisms. They don't have the power to be the gods of the universe or the gods of the omniverse, but they have the power to create an alternative world for themselves by trapping souls in those worlds, and those souls are being dumbed down based on some type of trap. That is the human brain that is developed from a child. So the gods of Pegana talks about they have one particular god that is one of these children gods, and he beats this drum. And he beats this drum to keep a certain pulsation of sleep, you see, for not only the great mother who's in a slumber, but the children that's in a slumber. And should that beat ever stop, the old gods will wake up. You see what I'm saying? In this particular case, if you break it back down to the human physiology, it's talking about the brain. It's talking about the brain. Some of the Gnostic material, Bentley Layton's book will make mention about the children, but a book from the 1950s called Gnostic Religion by Hans Jonas gets into that particular Gnostic religion by Hans Jonas gets into that particular part about the children, the babies. And the babies. So in so many words, what I'm saying here, this is incarceration by a group of subordinate deities that gained a foothold on the earth and the universe or whatever, while the pristine deities went into a form of a hibernation.
So now, and this
so that the demiurge, so that light that you go to is their realm.
So they're
tricking you into that, right? Right. To be free of them is to go to the dark, which is the realm of primal sleep.
Oh, okay.
Primal sleep. So they talk about this. When a man sleeps, he goes to his true self. The Quran says when a man sleeps, he is dead. You see, but it's a primal realm that inside, but also although it's a primal realm, when you're inside of this physical realm, it is so opposite this realm until you usually have fear of it, especially children.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Especially children. We'll get into that particular aspect.
I want to ask you this now, because you mentioned this, the Orishas
Yeah.
are part of the demiurge.
Yes.
Now, a lot of these brothers walk around, they want to tap into the Orishas.
Yes.
So are you saying the Orishas are
Yes, let me give you, yes.
on our side?
Yeah, let me give you a brief history of that. You got older Dumare, who is this father, who is supposed to be the father, but he's more of a father of the astral plane. Legba, Ogun, Obatala, Shango have their hands on creating the earth. They shut Oshun out a little bit, but they have their hands on creating the earth. And in the concept of that, there's some pre-creation deities that are in opposition for them creating the earth. It's the same biblical story of, let me give you an example, the biblical story of Satan and his spawn saying, we're not going to bow down to man. You see what I'm saying? And God saying, you need to bow down to man. It's really a deeper story than that. We just get the edited myth, but if you get a greater mythology that the Jews have our stuff, there's there's a book by the name of Rappaport. It's called The Legends of Israel, and in there they have an extended versions of this thing. And you find out in actuality this is a cosmic drama that's being played between Satan and his angels and stuff. And the reason why they didn't want to bow down to man in this particular thing is it's a greater story. They didn't want to become man, so they was rejecting becoming into a physical body. So bowing down was, oh, get used to it, humble yourself, and be our slaves. But Satan just remembered, no, we're not that. We gods of light. But they had to get used to this particular physical body. Well, it's the same thing happened in this Orisha myth. The one you want to get is a book called Good and Evil. That's the name of this thing. It's called Good and Evil in Europe or something. I've said it on some of my things. It's a book by a guy that's dead now by the name of Margie. And in there they talk about this struggle between these gods that don't want to be in the human form, and they go to battle with a Legbar and these crew who created this particular earth for them to be into. And as a result, the Legbar and them ultimately wins. It's the same story, which makes the Legbar and them these demiurge type characters. They are Olympian deities. So if you want to get a better clarity, you compare this with the Titan story, or the Titans not wanting to be cast down, but Zeus strikes them with an arrow and burn them up and then use their ashes to make man. You see what I'm saying? Those Titans are pristine deities that rule the universe prior to the younger group of deities who are subordinate deities that want to create this box job wonder world for themselves by using the older material to trap them down in this thing. So it's the same thing, it's the same demiurge material. I would say so there's several myths, but one of them would be the Titan myth. You see, one would be the Gnostic myth and all, and even the Egyptian myth in the coffin text. In the coffin text, they talk about Ra being old and feeble. He invites all the gods to dinner and swallows them all up. So he said, how can he swallow all the gods up? It's the same story of basically taking these advanced entities, inviting them to dinner, and eating them up, which means in actuality he trapped them into the realm of the physical and slowed down the vibration rate or the vibratory rate to trap these gods in the physical. We got one little piece that survives in the coffin text. The other piece to give you the indication that something happened was Ra overthrowing Apep, the great dragon or form of the great mother. But then again, you have the pre-dynastic mythology going up into Babylon and surviving where Marduk defeats Tiamat, the great dragon or the great mother, and used her blood to make the earth, her husband blood can do to make humans. So we're still talking about a pristine ancient deity being trapped in these physical forces by some younger entities, our children. You see what I'm saying? Our particular children. Going back into, because all this stuff coincides. You got to know about the demiurge and know about this death and know why we're trapped and know what happens after you die in the pitfalls.
Right.
So, so it's the same story. In East India, there are the asuras, these pristine deities, that are more superior than the devas. But the devas somehow tricked the asuras to lose their foothold on the earth and turn them into demons afterwards. Well, what is the turning into a demon? The turning into the demon is basically being trapped in a physical body. There's no difference between the word demon and human. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Being trapped in a physical body. So the asuras got trapped and got duped into becoming humans by the solar devas who are their children. You see, who are their children? You see, same concept. Same concept of what's going on. So in so many words, when you die, you meet face to face up with this tragedy again on where your soul is going to go. If you're going to get reincarcerated back down here, or is it going to set up the land in the land of the shadows, which is those particular entities that were outside the cycles of time. You see what I'm saying? And were safe not to come back. Now, fortunately, maybe the last 20 years, or at least I know the last 15 years, most of the cycles of reincarnation have been broken. Most of the babies that come to this planet are souls that have been in transition for at least 50, 60, 70, 100 years. So they were in the cycle of transition of already coming back to the planet. But most of the ones now that expire are not trapped into the cycle of reincarnation. In so many words, this so-called astrolight or astral plane, because one of the words for the demiurge is called plane. So this astrolight or this astral plane has worn thin. It is petered out. It is petered out. You can tell based on the seasons being off. Is one of the indications, one of the indications and stuff. And so as a result, a lot of people have broken the cycle of reincarnation, and they don't have to come back. So that means it sets up some type of way station that was set up before the ultimate reality of all this stuff dissolving back into this new world. And as a result, we know the last couple of years, that particular way station has become an oasis. You see what I'm saying? It's become an oasis. They're partying all night and all day. And stuff like that. So they're partying all night and all day and stuff. And meanwhile, the demiurge, or these particular beings, have lost their foothold on the earth, and the only thing they're doing at this particular time is they're surviving through the ignorance of the people. So these people are doing mass rituals, not just orishas, but to the Christian aspect and the worship aspect of religions, and through religions, because even that Yoruba thing has become a religion. They're doing all these mass worships and stuff, and in so many words, they're giving the demiurge their energy by keeping the demiurge alive, because the demiurge can only survive through the image or through the thoughts of man. In this case, the lower thoughts of man. So in so many words, the demiurge is nothing but forms of ego that's outside of the body. You see, it's this ongoing monster. Now, this is interesting. Some people say, well, you know, what about astral traveling? And what about because this is one that this one that is set up, that is real key. You hear people say ascended masters. But if the kingdom has not come yet, if the kingdom is not established, how can you have ascended masters? They have only ascended to the astral plane. You see, the matrix that we talk about, we know there's a physical matrix. What we don't understand here is the matrix has various levels of the matrix outside of the physical. And that's the astral plane, which is just basically the present universe A. Is made up of several planes. And so also you can ascend and break, and some of those people can break a cycle where they don't have to come back to the earth, and they're thinking that they're in paradise in heaven. They only have ascended to a non-physical plane, but it is still a form of the matrix, illusionary phenomenon. That's why they talk about a holographic universe, Michael Talbot's book. You see, so it's still a form of a matrix.
Is this the universe A, universe B?
This is universe A. Universe B is beyond the world of death. The shadows, the Kalipoth, which is beyond the world of Doth. Death and Doth is the same thing. You see, so you got the front side of the tree of life of the Kabbalah, and those particular spheres are still 10 luminous emanations. Emanations don't mean reality, it's just prisms of light or emanations. That is behind the tree through the doorway of death, which is the real world.
Right.
And they say that the back of the tree will rule in the last days or in the end. So this whole Kabbalistic system is nothing but various forms of the astral plane, which is set up to be some type of simulation of heaven beyond the physical world that has been in action or been illuminated since creation, but it is not the ultimate reality. So the Hermetic text says that you may think that the Father, right there letting you know it's something, that the Father of all nourishes everything in the universe. This is called, and they call it some form of Zeus, the great Father. They say, but it is not the ultimate reality of all there is to be. The ultimate reality is inner circle in the ground. Now, if you take the earth off of that and stuff, it's inner circle in the ground is nothing but the deepest part of your subconscious mind, the inner worlds. You see what I'm saying? The inner worlds. Now, when you die, it's based on your consciousness. You go, it's just this reincarnation cycle, because believe it or not, they're not really getting trapped in that now and stuff. That light can't hold them, so in so many words, although they might go to the light, they are still not being trapped in the reincarnation cycle. They're still ending up in the other world, which is the world of the dead, the kingdom of Osiris, because it is not strong enough to contain those souls. You see what I'm saying? Now, when you do die, so that means the only ones that's incarnation is the ones that's been reincarnated for thousands in that cycle. But the rest of the people are going to this particular world. You see what I'm saying? That this particular world, that is the world to come. Now, which is the kingdom of Osiris or the kingdom of death. Right. Now, it's set up like a pyramidal structure, and it's all based on your consciousness. So let's say if your family members who were just ignorant, good dead people, right, when they go to that particular realm, they'll be amongst all kind of family members, and that's probably what you see when you see the light. They'll be amongst all kind of family members, and that's a form of, and that's cool for right now. But then there's the next level. There will be the realm of people that have a little more consciousness. And then the highest levels will be the ones that will be ones with the gods. Because the whole karma
bullshit. It don't hold no water based on the unfairness of the earth.
That's right.
You can't get no knowledge.
That's right.
And but by the grace of God go I. We might fuck around here and bounce around here another million years because we can't find shit. You think a nigga in sub-Saharan Africa is privy to some knowledge right now? All them flies and bugs and shit.
Reason it out.
It's some bullshit.
Reason it out.
You see, it's some bullshit. You know what that shit is?
Kitchen.
It's just like anything else. Most of the stuff we getting from karma, we're getting from India. But you have to study the entire history of India. Most motherfuckers come into India with bullshit Buddhism, and Buddhism is fundamentalism. Buddhism is the Christianity of India.
Right.
India was a goddamn billion years old fucking Buddha. And they got thousands of years of Vedic texts. Go back to Ethiopia, but yet we gonna goddamn do something. It's the same as Christianity. Karma and sin is the same damn thing. Both of them are unfair. You see what I'm saying? It don't make no sense. How can a motherfucker from the damn ghetto walking around this motherfucker don't know his ass from the ground be accountable with some karma? It don't make no sense.
That's right.
My point is, I can see if you gave him all the fucking tools.
That's right.
And say now, goddamn it, you got the tools, there's no excuse. But the motherfucker don't have nothing.
That's it.
It's a cosmic joke. You see what I'm saying? But if you read most of the India stuff, we're sectarians. We only study one aspect, and that's good enough for me. As long as it ain't Christianity, I mean, it's something good. I feel good about myself. We only study one aspect. We don't study the whole thing. So we study the Buddhism, and they tend to deal more on the karma. The karma deals with most of the information that was in the Vedic system that explained things, and as time went on, as far as the cycle went on, they lost a lot of the ancient information. What they didn't know, they applied to karma. Same thing they did with sin. A lot of shit they didn't have answers for, they applied to karma, or it's just karma. But if you trace it back to the original Rig Veda, they hardly ever deal with karma. They hardly ever deal with human life, period. Because human life is a damn matrix. They deal with mostly the war between the gods and the goddesses. You see what I'm saying? So clearly you can see that one is, you see through the aspect of the Hinduism, one, it gradually goes down to a fundamentalistic movement, which is moral teachings for humans. It might have a much more greater metaphysical flair to it than Christianity, because most of that's lost, but still yet it is a fundamentalism compared to the original system. You see what I'm saying? Compared to the original system. The word karma comes from the word ha, ma, heru, ma, ku, harma, Armageddon. Karma was an end time event. More than this some shit you walking around and talking about all this karma on me. See, Gnosticism, it has a Christian overtone to it. And because we're trained on Christianity, we think that it's that same old Christian bullshit. We don't understand. This Gnosticism is the translated hieroglyphics into Coptic. And I don't care if the Romans stole the concept that they call it Christianity, it's fundamentally Egyptians. Even Jung said that. The Gnostics say that there ain't no such thing. They say there's a bunch of motherfucking gods up there that's playing a trick on us. But you can't get it in a movement. That's the problem with Buddhism. It is a religion. Because there's an esoteric form of Buddhism, but the mass of the people, when a billion people gonna get the most divine concept, that's bullshit. That's a religion. So the whole karma thing is bullshit. The fucking evil is the goddamn gods that claim that they divine. And she said the first thing they do is the gods fool the human by telling them this karma bullshit. Because they know that the humans contain the seed that's going to take them over. So it's a bunch of lies. Because it don't hold no water. Even Rudolf Steiner even said that religions develop when ample amount of knowledge or gnosis or knowing deteriorates.
Okay.
This whole karma thing, the concept where you're getting it from Buddhism. Because you can't find it in the Vedic text. So you have to study all of it. I don't take nothing for granted. I take no stones unturned. I don't believe in nothing. That way I can keep on going. You have to, there's no end to stuff. If I wake up tomorrow and I got a light bill, fuck it, there's some work to be done. There's something I ain't getting. And the other shit ain't gonna be sufficient. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not gonna be happy with that. So you got to keep on, but we're talking millions of years. So you can't take one section and say, this is the ultimate truth. So the whole karma shit and all, if you go by them damn niggas in Tibet, they can't step on a roach. I can't step on a snail. I said, that's contradiction. This is a motherfucking, you saying the same book that this is an illusion. That's a goddamn contradiction. Now, one minute you telling me Maya, illusion. This is an illusion. It doesn't exist. And the ultimate Buddha and Brahma realize this doesn't exist. Now you telling me that if I step on a roach in the illusion, that I'm fucked up? You can't have it. What? If this is a goddamn illusion that don't exist, and I step on a roach in the illusion, I'm supposed to get kicked up the ass because I stepped on nothing? You know what I'm saying? Like motherfucker buying you a damn lottery ticket for damn your birthday. Here, motherfucker, here's a piece of paper. Here's nothing. Because you got a better chance of lightning hit your ass than the shit hit me. Here's a lottery ticket, nothing. Oh, you all right with me, man. I got nothing. So I'm just saying, the whole, even see, because they're the ones that bring you the whole shit about the illusion and the Maya. If this is a matrix that don't exist, then how can karma be? The only thing you know that accumulates karma in your thing is something you do physically.
Right. Some negative behavior.
You see what I'm saying? So it's a contradiction. You can't tell me that Maya, illusion, the world of appearances, this is illusion, this is illusion, this is what you call it. It doesn't exist. But yet, if you do something up in that non-existence, your soul gonna be fucked up. That means somebody playing a trick on you. You see, so even that alone is a contradiction in turn. I gotta neutralize the ego so I can get through the matrix that don't exist, so I can see pure light and pure consciousness and all this shit here. But yet, do you mean to tell me that the shit that I'm trying to get away from is valid enough? That's valid that I get punished for fucking up that shit that I'm trying to get away from? It don't make no sense. It don't hold no water. You see, but that's here it is again. They take it something face value because people don't study the origin of things. You see what I'm saying? They don't study the origin of things. The Buddhism that goes into that stuff is a religion, and that's a late conception. You see what I'm saying? It's no different than Muhammad. It has splinters of divine energy, divine knowledge, and it has a whole meditation system and all of that type of thing. In that case, if it's coming where I gotta meditate, I thought meditation was to break down this bullshit. Now, if this is reality, I need to be dealing with this shit here. You see, it don't hold no water. You see, so that's a reform, something to keep people pacified because the masses was getting into it, and the masses were getting into it, and they couldn't understand the high level, and that's what the Buddhism say. They said that the Brahmins and the Vedics had all these complicated things that the masses of the people couldn't understand. The masses of the people don't supposed to understand nothing. You don't never supposed to follow nothing that the masses follow.